Good morning, everyone. This is Rosalie Dodonna from the Purifying Place. I hope you're having a wonderful start to your day. I wanted to come on and share this message that comes through, that has been coming through for me. And it's this idea of a long-term hurt versus a short-term hurt. And many of us have been conditioned to be the nice girl, not say anything that would hurt someone's feelings, people please, right? Put on this performance. And I'm realizing now that I'm stepping more and more into the truth of who I am, unapologetically showing up and helping my clients do this. It's interesting how, we start living in alignment with our truth and it starts triggering other people around us. And maybe we've had a good relationship with these people. Maybe they're people in our family, our friend circle. And, you know, we start living in truth and they immediately become critical, judgmental, um, or they just start to fall away quietly, naturally. And this makes some of us and my clients as well think, oh my gosh, I must be doing something wrong. I must go back to the old me to keep all of these people from leaving my life. And what we don't realize is this is what is supposed to happen. Because what was in alignment before when you were wearing the mask, pleasing everyone, is no longer going to be in alignment or a match to the truth of who you are. Not always, right? Unless those people are also willing to shift and be a match for what you're creating and what you're stepping into. Um, and I'm realizing, the more that we speak our truth, there's some people who just can't handle it. And we have to stop taking it so personally and feeling like we're the bad girl, the naughty child, right? All of these conditioned beliefs that we've have imprinted and ingrained in us from our upbringing, our childhood, our young adult life, throughout the experience of this human experience, and take each action with the faith and trust that this is right for us and not shrink or apologize for speaking our truth and acting in our truth. And now that I'm working with clients, it's so interesting how, people want the kind of person that I was before. Not all my clients, but now at the beginning of my business, I realized I was attracting clients who wanted to hear stuff that would validate their victim mentality, that would validate their reasons for why they didn't have what they wanted yet, validate their reasons for being the hurt one and the other people were wrong, right? And now, again, as I step more and more into my truth, I also have made the conscious decision not to co validate people's disillusionment. Now, when people come to me and clients come to me, friends come to me, family comes to me, they know they're going to hear the truth because I stand for truth. I'm integrated in my truth, and I will not co-validate anyone else's untruths. And for some people, that's scary. They don't want to see the truth. They don't want to acknowledge it. They don't feel ready to process through it. They're scared and living from fear. And I have to realize that's their choice. I cannot make them change their choice. I can only operate out of alignment with what is true for me. And I have to be willing to let those relationships go. We cannot hold on to things that are no longer meant for us as we step more and more into our truth. And for our nervous system, this can feel scary. This can be like, you're going to be alone. You're going to be isolated. Who will you have left? Everyone's going to hate you. And all these fears start running through our minds. And we can make the choice not to subscribe to those any longer. We can have and hold the awareness that this is what is right and true for us and what God has intended for us to do here on this earth, and have the faith and surrender the outcome and know that this is all for the highest good of ourselves and for everyone else involved. And, this can be difficult at first, but I want you to know, as someone who stepped through that door, stepped through that portal, and is walking that path, it becomes easier. It becomes easier as you become strengthened and fortified in who you are. The rejection, the abandonment, all that, it doesn't sting anymore, because it's not true rejection. It's not abandonment. It's reclaiming who you are. It's holding yourself. And in doing so, you naturally find people who are going to want to hold you as well, who are going to want to support you in your truth. And I believe this is what we're really looking for. We're looking for people to really see who we are. But we can never have that if we're not willing to be honest with ourselves and those around us. So going back to the long-term versus short-term hurt, I'm realizing, in my upbringing, especially in my family, a lot of my family members were operating out of never calling any of us, any person out on their bullshit, frankly. um, and, the more and the more I awakened growing up, and naturally as a child, I would call things out and say, well, why do you do this? But you say this. And that would trigger my parents so much that I would be punished physically, emotionally, mentally, right? All the stuff. And I internalized it as a child, thinking there must have been something wrong with me. But now I see how twisted that is. The more I step into this truth is, you might be the scapegoat of your family because you might be the only one ready for the truth and wanting to live the truth and wanting to seek the truth and wanting to talk about the truth, while the rest of your family members, your friend circle, whatever it is, are still living in disillusionment. And, you want to give them this short term hurt by telling them the truth up front to save them from this lifelong slumber of just disillusionment that's not true. What was happening, and this is what was happening in my own life. I was realizing I didn't want to hurt anybody and hurt anyone's feelings, and kept my truth hidden inside because of how I was conditioned and what I thought I was supposed to be. That I never allowed myself to say the truth because I thought it would hurt people. And I'm realizing, but that just extends the hurt even further, because now these people don't have an honest mirror reflecting back to them. And that does not serve them, that does not serve us, and it doesn't allow for expansion and growth. Whereas if we tell them the truth up front, it might sting in that moment, but that wake up call, that harsh moment where they're reflected back their truth and they have to face it, they have the opportunity to become aware and to make the change that they wish to see, because we allowed ourselves to speak the truth. But if we lie to them, white lies, small lies, not saying what we really feel or mean, we rob them of that opportunity. So not only do we silence our voice, but we also hurt others long term by telling them, yeah, everything's okay, you're doing great, when that might not be so. And I'm realizing, the more and more why I was so confused for so long is we need to step into that age where we're all just speaking our truth and not being cut off, not being punished, not being um, disciplined in a way to make us feel shameful, and recognize that we can hold the entirety of who we are as a human existence and allow ourselves to be fully expressed. And, I encourage you to start doing what feels uncomfortable, but what you know is right. And continue to exercise that muscle of just showing up as you are, as you truly are. And I invite you to make your own conscious decision to not co-validate anyone's lack, anyone's fear, anyone's disillusionment to the truth of who they are, and see them in their wholeness. Because when we do that, we allow everyone to expand. We hold the space for ourselves and for others to grow. And that's what we do here in the expansion code in my one-to-one container, coaching container. If you need help with this, feel free to DM me, message me. But I hope this message resonated with you, and know that you're not alone on this journey. We're all going through this. And although it may be difficult now, it won't always be. Have a blessed day.